Hey, party people, it's Cliff. You know, as much as I hate the term fake news, there is a little bit of validity within that statement. A little bit. It's not fake news, it's why news. And here's what I mean. Why news? There's always a reason somebody does something, and there's always a reason that somebody puts out a news article for you to read. And whenever somebody puts out that news article for you to read, they want you to believe something. And it could be information, you know, it could be a little news piece in your small town. It could be a bigger news piece. It could be the mainstream media. It could be the left-leaning media, right-leaning media. It could be anything. It could be even this video on, like, you know, why am I making this video? Because I want you to know, and I want you to basically understand that the news out there is called why news. And every time you read something, every time you watch something, every time you consume a piece of social media content, you got to think about it this way. Why is this social media content being presented in the way that it is? Why am I reading these articles? Why is this news story like popular? And when you do that, you pretty much begin to understand there's something that happens, right? Because, like, you know, my sister, every time a news article that she doesn't like, you know, based on her personal emotions and whatnot, says, oh, well, I don't like that, that's fake news. Like, automatically you cut yourself off and you don't believe it. But if you ask yourself, why news? Why is this happening? You know, that way you're more inquisitive and you figure out that the thing that you're reading and what it does to you is that it gets you to say, okay, I know that this news article is out here. I know that this exists. It could be fake. It could be real. It could be left-leaning, right-leaning. It could be part of an industry. It could be part of a PR, like a PR brand, like news thing. It could be anything. Why is this here? And when you start thinking about why things happen and why the news like gets out there, then you can take a step back and look at the entire picture and then make a decision from there that's going to better benefit you, rather than looking at a news piece and saying, like, oh, stocks are all crashing today, I better sell everything, you know. Or you know, there was a news piece yesterday where the two F-18s like collided at an air show. That was a piece of news, right? And I'm like, all right, that's an informational piece of news. Like, I'm sure that people are investigating that crash. I'm sure that everybody, you know, well, luckily the pilot's ejected, totally safe, everything great, no problem. But then there was that the active shooter event over in San Diego, which is terrible, you know. And it's like, all right, well, that's also informational. It's like, well, this happened, you know, at the religious place, I guess, and it's just, you know, it's just bad things all around, right? And you know, those are like the two like news things that I saw. But a lot of other news, you know, especially in crypto and finances and that type of stuff, it's like, you know, 10 stocks that are gonna be your best play. 10 stocks that are going to be the best of 2026. That's going to increase your portfolio. It's like, okay, well, why? Why are you telling me this? Well, is it probably because the people who own the news site, the people that publish that article, have already bought the stocks that news article is talking about? You know, Congress and insider trading, of course. Like, it happens. Markets are always manipulated, that kind of thing. So then when you look at those kind of articles, instead of saying like, oh, I should buy those stocks, or I should get this thing, or I should do this, I should, you know, drop everything and go do the thing, you can sit there and be like, all right, well, you know, these people are telling me that these stocks are, you know, XYZ, and well, if this news article is telling me that these stocks are good to pick, and this news article already has 1 million people looking at it, then those stocks aren't a good pick. I mean, the fundamentals of like finance and money and investing is basically seeing something that is valuable before everyone else sees it. Get in and then get into a project before it all blows up, and then once it blows up, it does that happen. But so many people get burned because a whole bunch of different reasons. But anyway, that's beside the point. But it's why news. And that's really all you have to think about is like, all right, just have that sort of filter on you, right? Have that shield, where you shield your eyes and you say, okay, like, I get it that this thing is happening in the world. I get it that this news article is talking about something that might be like the end of the world, or like, this or that. And then you got to say to yourself, okay, well, why? Why is that happening? Why? Just ask why. That's it. So super simple, super quick. I'm feeling good today. Because 300 terabytes of media that I've worked on in the last 10 years is going to get properly offloaded to the next version of the company that I'm working with. So, and 300 terabytes isn't nothing to nothing to swing about. That's a lot of stuff. And just glad to get it out of the way. That was one of the last things I did. Oh yeah, by the way, it's funny, one of the earlier videos I did was, if you get laid off, getting laid off is fine if you're prepared for it. And I've always lived with this saying in mind, live your life as if you're going to be fired tomorrow. And sure enough, that day will always come, whether it's in retirement, whether it's in, suddenly, whether it's in, the industry as a whole taking a big dump. And but I have an out date, and that out date is in June. And when that out date happens, like, I will no longer be working. But because I had the due diligence to figure things out, and to basically, look at that orange Cybertruck, gee whiz. That's one thing I figured out, is not to buy anything, super crazy. But the thing to know is that, if you prepare for it, you'll be okay. So prepare, it's not like prepper level of crazy, right? Where it's like you gotta have a cabin in the woods and like, a bunker somewhere, with a whole bunch of guns. Not like the movies, even though the movies are hilarious and fun. But you gotta be at least a little bit prepared. You gotta look at least a little bit into the future, and to protect yourself, protect your families, protect everything. Yeah, I gotta do a little window washer because my windshield is a little dirty. It's still a little dirty. That's fine. Yeah, I never like doing the window washer on the one I'm driving, because it always sprays like the cars behind me. And part of me is like, here's my two pet peeves, right? I want my window clean, my windshield clean, and I like to have a clean car. Like those are my two pet peeves. But that's very small pet peeves. Very no big deal pet peeves. Yeah, there's always these little yellow dots on the car, which are kind of I think it's bug poop. So the bugs they come after me. That's all right. Then I had a giant bird take a bombing run onto the car, so it was hilarious. Plopped it right down on the windshield. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I got to get that one off. So yeah, no big deal. But yeah, something about like a clean room, a clean house, a clean car, within reason is, it just feng shui's the room up, and like your personality and all that helps you out. But anyways, yeah, that's about it. Every chance I get to look at the news and understand why it's going off, why it's happening, why are the people like making a big fuss over it, and then sometimes you realize that a lot of news articles will or news stories will just be like a flash in a pan, and then they'll be gone after a couple of weeks. or heck, not even that, a couple of hours, or a couple of days. But the news that you really should be paying attention to is the news that is ongoing, and like the Epstein files. That's never going away. But news that, it's funny. Your memory, you have about a 6-month long-term memory, and now you probably have probably for another video, but you're like, you can remember vacations that you took like 5-10 years ago. You can remember friends that you can remember high school. You can remember all those key moments. But as far as like the day-to-day life and the regular ongoings of things in the world, and like the interactions that you have with people and social media, your long-term memory is about 6 months. And you know why it's about 6 months is because movie trailers, they'll always have a teaser trailer, right? A year before the movie comes out. 6 months before the movie comes out, they'll have a second trailer to get you involved. And then they'll have maybe a third trailer, like, depending on metrics or whatever. They'll have a third movie trailer that's like the final movie trailer, like 2 or 3 weeks before the movie is released in theaters. And that's all calculated. Like, the people that, release these trailers and have all these schedules, and, businesses and, frickin' food companies, like, just name anything, they know that you have about a 6-month memory. And this is definitely one for another video. You're getting two for the price of one. You're getting wine news, and then you're getting a 6-month memory. But what that goes to show you is that, because if a news article, if a news story continues to last over 6 months, then you know that story is probably a problem, probably real. It's probably leaning more towards like, all right, we got to really take this thing seriously. And those issues that last over 6 months are usually the ones that people will eventually, like, that it'll keep you into the cycle, and those news stories will be kept into your memory, in a way. So that's sort of like the two things that I look at news, and I look at like the way that the world behaves in that grand sense. Do not mess with the bus that is coming. A bus has priority over driving. You know what I ought to do? I ought to put the whatchamacallit, I ought to put my dash cams up, the forward and back dash cams, so that way you can see what I'm looking at and see where I'm driving to and all that jazz. But that takes a little bit more work than just click on this video and upload it. I'd have to put it in the edit system and do all that thing. I'll probably just leave it as it is. And no need to get too crazy on it. It's funny with the dash cams. The one that I got, the guy, he overbooked the time to install it, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll install it. Like, I gotta." He's like, "I gotta install these other two guys first because they were first before you." And I'm like, "Hey, no worries. I can come back whenever." And he's like, "No. I'll do it. But I can't give you one of the dash cams that I have that you asked for in stock, but I can give you this one that's going to be released in 3 months because I had because I got the early product before it went on market for retail." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sweet." So so it's like it was like a fancier version. This was also like when I got the car like 3.5 years ago. So they probably updated their product since then. It's out on the market, so I'm not too worried. But it's one of those things where, like, he did a really good job. There's like 2 wires that I can see right now behind the rear view, but I don't even see it. I don't even pay attention. But one of the things is that getting the dash cams and recording yourself, and heck, even having a body cam. And man, there was that whole Meta glasses. I really wish it wasn't like, I really wish those Meta glasses were not like involved with Facebook, or the Zuck I really wish they weren't, because I'd probably get some. But I'm just, it's funny making a video and then like also arguing for like, privacy. Um, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, if those Meta glasses I didn't have to have an account. I don't have to have a fucking app. I don't have to have anything. It just like connects to the phone via Bluetooth and records directly to that, or it records to the internal thing, and you can only record like 30 minutes or whatever. That'd be cool, to have, instead of wearing a body cam. Because in this day and age, right, you need to record everything, or else somebody come along and do like hearsay, on you, and ruin your life, ruin your career. And I say that from not I don't have any personal experience, because nobody watches these videos. Nobody cares about me. But we've had celebrities, who have the infrastructure to, and the social media presence to be like, like people working behind the scenes to basically prevent all that stuff from happening. You know, it is what it is in our silly world. You always got to trust. You always got to try to trust what's happening in the world, but at the same time, like, context is everything. And it goes back to why news. Why is this news, like, why are they presenting this news to me in this context? What is the meaning? What is the story behind the story on the news? Like, and then when you realize that, a lot of news pieces are just fluff, they're just there to get you to click on it for the advertising, you realize. And surprisingly, you don't need to read a lot of news. My philosophy is that all the best news, or all the relevant news that ever happens, always goes up to the top. Like, it never, you're going to hear about it from some way. You're either going to hear about it from a coworker, you're going to hear about it from family, you're going to hear about it from, the YouTube streamer that you watch, or the Twitch streamer, or the YouTube content creator. You're going to hear about it from a podcast that you normally think. Like, that's the kind of news that propagates through everything. You could say it'd be viral news, but I think viral is a term. Actually, no, it is a perfect term, because usually viral. Why is this guy like cutting through traffic? Gee whiz. And he's going nowhere. I really got to put up these dash cams. And he's cutting back through traffic. This guy. Oh, man. That's the thing, right? It's like, just this example right here. It's like, it's either you calm. You gotta approach everything with calm, with a relaxed sense of mentality. You gotta understand what's going on. You can't react. Like, don't react. Just like if a news article is like, oh my God, I have to do something now, it's just wait a day. Just wait a day. And if you can wait a week, then eventually, you won't have to worry about it. It's also the same thing when you want to buy something. It's like, if you want to buy something and you need it now, it's like, okay, wait a day. Wait a week, and then see if you need it. But anyway, that's about it. I'm close to work, so I hope you guys have a good day. And remember, it's all about why news. Why do things happen? So, yeah, catch you later. Bye.